Hello everyone, welcome back to the second episode of New Palette. This is a series of podcasts in which we will explore the journeys of staff and students at UCL History of Art department. Today I am joined by Novuyo Moyo. We're classmates of the module Histories of Ecological Form. In this module, we study the entanglements of art and ecology. Novuyo, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Thank you for having me, Wen. I am a fellow student here on the History of Art MA program. I have taken a break between my undergraduate to work, and so I am on the older side of the average age of students on the MA program. I'm in my early 30s, and so I worked as a digital marketer for a supermarket here in the UK. And I did that for quite a while. It was very secure and there were a lot of opportunities for progress. But I think I did miss, because I really started liking art from like my teens or slight pre-teens. And so I really did miss being in the art environment. So I wanted to go back. And so I got a traineeship at an art magazine. And then that opportunity came to an end at the start of the pandemic. Initially, I was going to stay on, but because of a lot of precarity and unsureness. Uncertainty, thank you so much. At the beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't able to, but fortunately enough, I got a position at an online arts publication this time. And I've been able to be there ever since as an editor. And that's what I did before I started here on the MA program. Yeah.
So you have this experience in art history before, but also with marketing, and now coming back to art history. What makes you choose UCL for your MA?
I wanted to, when I sort of like started getting back to work in the arts, I felt like I had a bit of a knowledge gap that I wanted to fill. And so I thought I would like to undertake the MA, and UCL felt like a really good choice for me, just because of looking at the structure of the program, the way that it's set out, the diverse range of interests and specialisms that the faculty have, and the location of UCL being in London. I think that it's like really well placed for the connections and proximity to a lot of great institutions, and that's what made UCL a really good choice for me.
I totally agree. London is certainly one of the most exciting places to study art history. Yeah. Although the reasons behind this fact needs to be unpacked critically.
Exactly. Which we've dabbled a little in the core course and some of our electives as well.
Yes, there's a lot to learn. I wonder how you find the community of MA students here.
I'm not currently based in London. I'm a bit further away, so I think that's given me a bit of a distance in terms of not engaging regularly with the community of students here. With the people that I've managed to interact with outside of like working together on projects or any group work, there's just been a great generosity of spirit with people who will like give me tips about, oh, make use of this resource, or they will like talk about the things that they're interested in and sharing their ideas and eager to listen to what I'm also interested in as well. So I think there has been a lot of like camaraderie amongst the people that I've gotten to know.
I think we cannot skip the question of diversity here. To be honest, when I go to art history conferences and sometimes I am the youngest or the only woman of color in the room, I wonder if you have had similar experiences?
Definitely. I think it's something that's always noticeable, and it's across all the different like little spheres of diversity. So like you said, with age, with gender, with race, you can always see like more representation or less on across certain lines. And academia would benefit from a diversity in voices, because we'd be able to have richer and more interesting perspectives, be a part of the conversations that we're having. So I feel like we can only ever benefit from having like more of less represented groups within this space. But the how I wouldn't be able to say, but it's just something that I hope becomes more of a thing as we go on.
On a more positive side, can you tell us what is the most enjoyable part of your study in art history?
That's a really good question. I think a few things. The first would be getting to learn about myself through art, in a way. So through the things that I find myself gravitating to over and over again and going back to, and it's a process that's happened, I think, because of when you are the electives you pick, I guess, are a part of that, and within those electives, the areas in which you decide to specialize in, and then it all sort of comes together with our final project, the dissertation, in a way. That process has been really enjoyable because it hasn't felt forced, and it's something that's just happened, and it's only looking back and be like, oh, I can see how this interest led to that, and so that's been like a really enjoyable thing for me. On a second note, despite having like a few difficulties on my journey here on the program, I think what has been encouraging has been getting to overcome those and working to always get up again, no matter how many times I feel like I'm falling or flailing or failing. Just always seeking those opportunities to improve.
Yeah. For sure. The 1-year master's program is quite intense. Having to write a lot of essays, quite complicated.
And engaging with a lot of like dense theory, basically, right?
Yes. And I wonder for you, what is the most challenging part of it, though?
Ooh, challenging. Back to the topic of commuting. It's basically something that I didn't think I'd have to do when I applied, because when I applied I was still living in London before I'd had to move. And so when I moved unexpectedly at the beginning of term, and I felt like a lot of my, difficulties kind of stem from there. But I will say that reach out for help sooner rather than later, because, though you might not think that they will be helpful, the resources here are really good. There is Ask UCL, there's the counselling service and all the sessions you get there, and just even a lot of people on the faculty are invested in seeing you do well, so they will point you to the right places. They will, tell you of your options and try to like help get you back on your feet when you have those moments when you do fall. So yeah.
Just to add on top of that, for our prospective students, if you're listening to this podcast, you can also check UCL or our departmental websites for funding opportunities, because we know the nationwide living crisis is affecting everyone. If you need help, please reach out. Speaking about living in the UK or living in London, in the previous episode, Aeneas and I had a conversation about British food, which is the chicken tikka masala. Yeah, I think you know that.
Yeah.
And so we were surprised that food, something Britain is kind of infamous for, can actually tell us a lot about the histories and communities. So I wonder if you also have a dish that you want to share with us?
I do, in fact. I had to ask my mum for the recipe because I'm completely unsure. So I'm from Zimbabwe, and I'm from a group called the Nguni people of Southern Africa. And the dish that I am talking about, the pronunciation on this might be a little bit hard, but I'll spell it for you first. It's spelled umxhanxa, and it's pronounced umxhanxa.
How do you pronounce the?
So the X in the name for it is a click consonant. So it's a click that, close to that one, but it's the one that I'm not sure how I can describe how to position your tongue, but the sound you're aiming to produce is more like like that. The dish is essentially a warm sweet soup that's made out of this yellow melon when I looked online, they said a paddy melon was one of the terms for it, but it's essentially a more spherical version of the kind of oblong red watermelon we're used to. It has the same like dark green and light green patterning on the outside, but inside it's a very pale yellow with some brown seeds. And then you boil the maize kernels, and then the melon which you've cut into pieces, you'll put it in with the kernels, still retaining a little bit of that boiling water. You put a lid on, let it simmer, and everything soften and kind of integrate all together. Then you add a bit of sugar to taste, and it can be a bit of a morning dish, but you can also have it as like a bit of a dessert. And I just, it really reminds me of Zimbabwe, because you can get those melons more readily over there, and not so much over here. But whenever someone brings the melon back, I'm just like, yes, I can have it now, and I really used to enjoy it.
Thank you. All right, so this is the end of our second episode. Thank you, Novuyo, for sharing your insights. And we hope this helps our audience to understand more about student life here in the History of Art department. Stay tuned to see you in the next episode.